Tonight, several Republican state lawmakers are now suing Greenville County and Greenville County Council. The lawsuit was filed yesterday, and the group says the council's budget approval process was unlawful. This lawsuit comes after council leaders went back and forth for weeks on a property tax increase. We followed it extensively here. Well, it nearly caused a government shutdown before one council member changed his vote and joined the majority. Both the 2024 and 2025 budgets were approved with a tax increase.
Fox Carolina's Kennedy Harris has been following that budget dilemma for us. And Kennedy, has tension gone down at all since that vote?
No, those outvoted on council members who did not want to see the tax increase remain adamant against it. This lawsuit is only adding fuel to that fire. It's not unlikely for local governments to get sued, but this time several local representatives are the plaintiffs.
Sometimes you have to just teach them that the law is what the law is.
The 35-page lawsuit lists 9 claims against Greenville County. Attorneys say it's all about holding leaders accountable.
One of the main focuses of this lawsuit, and a lot of others like it, is to require our public officials to follow the law. We have good laws. The problem is that our public officials are not as faithful and diligent as they should be in following the laws.
The plaintiffs are 6 state representatives, a county resident, and the Public Interest Foundation. 2 of those reps and 1 attorney have already gone head-to-head with the county once before and won.
I think people were taken aback by the fact that it was so large of a tax increase, that they had so many issues come up during the consideration of it.
Right now, Greenville creates the budget 2 years at a time. The lawsuit says that violates state law and county code. They should be creating only 1 budget at a time. They also argue some county council meeting minutes during the budget process were inaccurate or missing. It says leaders violated the Freedom of Information Act by holding a secret meeting on June 6th to, quote, encourage councilors to support the budget. It continues saying that council and the county administrator transferred money around in the budget without following the proper procedures. Finally, the lawsuit claims council hindered public expression by limiting how many people could speak.
You should always want the public aware and involved in what you do with public money.
The lawsuit is asking the court to void the approved budgets based on due process and First Amendment violations. The county has 30 days to form a response.
We need to use litigation to bring these violations to their attention.
And the plaintiff's attorneys estimate this lawsuit could go anywhere between 12 to 18 months. County officials declined to comment, and so did most of the council members I spoke with. They told me they didn't have a chance to read over the lawsuit just yet, but I did hear back from Councilman Steve Shaw. He said in part, quote, taxpayers are furious with shady backroom deals, the money, shell game, and being told to shut up and mind their own business. We'll stay on top of this story for you. Kennedy Harris, Fox Carolina News.